So you missed Trump coin. Now what? What's going to happen next? And most importantly, how to position ourselves in the coming days and weeks and months, because things could get pretty wild. And I'm not going to get into the details of what the hell is behind this coin and why Trump decided to launch it and how bad it is. We're just going to look in the facts. And I believe in general, this is extremely bullish for the space, extremely bullish for Solana specifically and its ecosystem. And I think it's absolutely worthless to think about it in a way that, oh, is this Trump trying to pump and dump, or, all those things are pointless right now. The only important thing that you need to be thinking is, am I positioned for this, or do I want to make changes, and how to position myself for potentially the biggest bull run that we've ever seen? Because say what you want to say, but never in the history of crypto we've had so many people in so high places pretty much pumping straight up our backs. it's crazy, and their own backs, obviously. So it's really insane. And before we get into the futures, I wanna kind of spend a little bit of time that you've probably been going through some hard times with this token. I am as well. I've also had conflicting thoughts and beliefs about this. And you might feel sorry that you completely missed this and you never bought in, which is fine. This thing ran up like 10,000% in, just pretty much 24 hours. But also keep this in mind, because the moment you start blaming yourself and, how could I have missed this and so on, so on, so on. And you will probably see all the people on Twitter saying that, oh, this wallet bought 1 million or 10 million and now has 50 million or 100 million dollars from this token. That's all great, but probably 90% of the people in crypto missed the boat on this. Or even if they didn't, they started joining it somewhere here, like in the $36, $37 area. So it's not like you're gonna get everything perfectly. And even if you do, even if you think about this, let's say you bought it right here and you sold it at 5 or 6x, which is still great gains, don't get me wrong, but there are plenty of people even in my surroundings that bought it low enough, but they sold for like 5 or 10x, which again is not a small gain, but it's nothing crazy compared to what this thing has been pulling. And they feel terrible, they feel really bad because they messed up. There are people that traded it in and out. There are people that were on vacation, didn't even trade it at all. So whatever happens, you probably feel sorry. Keep this in mind. You probably feel terrible about this, but it's not the time to feel sorry. I went through this as well. I was quite pissed. I managed to trade it a bit, but it was pretty much around this 14, around here, around $14 level. I was like, just woke up, saw what happened. I'm like, no, this cannot be real. But then I was like, I went to his Twitter and so I saw that this is real. And I was like, okay, there's a pullback, there's a breakout. Fuck it. I was doing charting on the 15-minute chart. This is the 15-minute chart. And it started breaking out. But of course, I didn't go full in because I was like, this is quite risky. It already ran up to $15 billion. And although I was expecting it to run, I was like, okay, 30 is like a good target in my mind, and probably we'll see a retrace because this is getting in the top 10, 20 in cryptocurrencies in the world. So I took profit around 30. I scaled out and then went to bed just as it was collapsing. And I was like, okay, in this area, I was like, okay, I'm going to bed. I took profit at the right spot. And I'm like, probably this will have a bigger correction. Then, it will consolidate and so on, so on. And then we'll see if there's another entry. But no, exchanges started listing it, which was kind of obvious in hindsight that this could pump a bit more. But this secondary breakout happened while I was sleeping. And then when I woke up, I was like, okay, I'm not going to chase this pump. So, the chart paints a lot of stories here. And as I said, these are just few scenarios, and I told you my personal one. But again, what do we do next? And the most important thing to remember is that this is hyper bullish for crypto, at least in the coming several weeks, I would say, even until the summer, probably, so few months. And obviously, Solana ecosystem is kind of the chosen one. It kind of has been all cycle for the last several years. Although if you were trading on Solana and you are not in shitcoins, which were pretty much pump and dump all year long, you would probably have had quite a hard time, because except for a few big memes like Bonk and Whiff, nothing really had a sustainable pump. And I just want to show you an example from my portfolio, because the way I tried to play Solana this cycle, I didn't really buy and DCA into any Solana, but I was like, okay, what are the bigger infrastructure plays? And this was the one for me, Jupiter. So I traded in and out of other tokens, but I was like, this is a great product. If Solana runs, this will run. But look at it. It hasn't run. It hasn't really moved. It's been in this massive accumulation. Potentially, if this starts breaking out and we're in a massive bull run, this could fly, and I'm still bullish on it. But compare this to Solana's chart, and it's not even a comparison, And again, there are many other tokens in the ecosystem that haven't ran and were not running all year long. So it's been really, really hard. And this cycle has been really fucking up with the brains of everybody, including myself. I wouldn't say I've been trading it great. And I've had videos about this, so you can go watch them and maybe learn from my mistakes. However, I think that now we have this news. There are several plays here. And the most important thing to do is really lock the fuck in. This is the time to have sleepless nights, to have your girlfriend almost leaving you, and forgetting about everything, like take a leave from work, whatever. These are the times to be really, really focused on what's going to happen in crypto. And this brings also a lot of pressure, but I believe this will be a really a generational opportunity that we're seeing in the coming weeks before potentially everything crashes and burns, like usually happens in crypto. And the plays are, I wouldn't say that obvious. There are some kind of obvious plays, but I would say don't be quick, because with all the emotions with Trump, and with the price action, don't be quick to start dumping all of your other backs and, for example, aping into Solana at these levels. Try to think rationally, because what happened is pretty much Solana and this Trump coin sucked out the liquidity of everything on the market. Like Ethereum was down 10-20% the past 2 days. All kind of shitcoins and altcoins were down massively. Like even on the Sol ecosystem, like look at this, Whiff is down, Bonk, it hasn't really moved that much in the last couple of days. It had a bit of a run, but pretty much it's been only Solana and Trump. And what I believe the first kind of obvious move will be, things will start flowing into Solana. Now the question is where to look at. And the simplest answer I can give you, and I really think we shouldn't be overthinking this whole thing that's happening right now. The moment you start doing this, it's a kind of a recipe to miss the boat, because I'm an overthinker by nature, and I know this because I've missed opportunities because of this. I really think it's like, sit down and think where the retail and the people that now will hear about these tokens all over the news, where are they going to put their money? And also, where the people that bought Trump here low with size and now are having huge backs, when they start taking profit, where do you believe they will put their money into? And obviously, Solana as an ecosystem makes sense. It's the first thing. But what I also think is going to happen, we're going to have a typical rotation. So there was a Solana season, or there will be a Solana season on the altcoins, if you don't count already this as a Solana season. Potentially, we could get an ETH season, although it's been shit and Ethereum's been dealing with a lot of shitty price action, and most of the exposure I have is still related to Ethereum. So it's not like I've been having a great time. But I do believe this could also catch a fire at some point. But really, I think the first thing to look at is Solana. And the next question is, where on Solana do we look? Like, what are the plays to look at? And I think there are a couple of really things that stand out in my opinion. You should look for strength. So first of all, I showed you Whiff. This is not a chart that I'm keen on getting in. Although, it's at kind of a support here. But if you look at another meme, Fartcoin, which I, by the way, don't own, but you could see the difference here, right? So this also, for no particular reason, out of all the memes, and probably Bonk was the most obvious. Why didn't Bonk pump and Fartcoin did? Nobody know. I cannot give you this explanation, but it doesn't get cleaner than this. And why was, for example, even if we take the same narratives, why was Fartcoin performing so well in the past week, while something like GOAT, which pretty much is in the same narrative, it's still a Solana token, it's been down only, this thing. So why is that? Nobody knows. But what you should be doing is go through your Solana charts and have two types of plays. So one will be kind of the fundamental plays. So stuff like, let me just go to my Solana watch list. Oh, come on. Stuff that is fundamentally sound, I would say. So for example, Radium, really nice breakout retest here of this accumulation. So potentially not a terrible place to enter, because this is one of the main dexes and people are doing their trading on there. Jupiter, I mentioned it. I'm still holding it back. I'm going to get a bit of an airdrop, but honestly, after if it starts breaking out and after I get my airdrop, I'll probably unstake whatever I have, and I'll just start to looking for exit points if we really get crazy price action. So I think these are one of the majors now on the fundamental side. You could look at Pyth, which looks a bit more shitty on the price action. Not going to cover even this, but on the weekly you could find a case for it. But don't overthinking it. Again, don't overdo it as well. Don't buy like a shit ton of tokens and just hope. Giro is another one. This one has been behaving pretty much like Jup. So again, if this starts breaking out, I could see this having a lot of momentum just because of the time that it took to accumulate so long and this huge range. And stuff like Magic Eden, Drift, D-Bridge, these are infrastructure plays on Solana. Grass is an AI token that also doesn't look terrible here in this accumulation. All of these are plays that I think at some point, once people start taking profit and maybe look somewhere to park their money, I think these will be the beneficiaries on the more fundamental side. And then on the other side, I'm not a meme guy, so I cannot honestly give you like what would be the next meme that will pump. Like now there's a new theme in town today, like official Elon meme coin, and it's a pump and dump, obviously. But following the example of Trump, this is what probably we're gonna see in the next few days. But I think it's gonna be really difficult for memes to stick and to have good runs, except maybe for Bonk, which is kind of the premier meme, and it's gonna be really difficult to pick because there's so many. It's crazy the amount of memes that we have on Solana, and they're popping up every single day. So I think it's going to be really difficult to choose, especially if you're not in the trenches and trying to find it really early, because now then people just move to the next one and to the next one, and they're experts. They do this for years now. So if you're just starting like me, I wouldn't start with Solana memes necessarily unless you want to have the time. You have the time and you have the funds and efforts to try to make it there, but I think it's very hard and very PvP. So Bonk, as I said, could be one of the like better, simpler plays. Longer term, it still looks quite good. Like if you look at this chart, although it's been taking forever to play out, it's got a really clean pattern. So it's just accumulating. It kind of started dropping off here, then pop. So we have a high, and this is, keep in mind, the weekly. So we have a fresh high. Now we came back to retest this level, and now potentially we go for another leg higher, because pretty much this here is the zone that we tagged, which is perfect pretty much structure on the very high time frame. And honestly, if it starts breaking, I do have alert for this. But by the way, guys, if you have a good kind of app or software for price alerts, because every single one of them that I've used has really sucked, including TradingView and including stuff like Delta. So I just don't receive the alerts. Like for example, I wanted to buy back an Ondo and it just popped through support and through resistance, and I didn't get the alert. So let me know in the comments. But this one, if it starts forming here a pattern and a breakout at the mid-range, I think it's a pretty decent bet on the Solana ecosystem as a meme. And then I would say as a third category, but still quite important, are AI-related tokens on Solana. Because in general, I'm kind of circling around AI as the main theme. I have other narratives that I'm playing in, but pretty much AI has been my biggest conviction, and I have the biggest backs there. But when it comes to Solana AI, I've been kind of on the sidelines for most of it. And now there was a new narrative popping with the agents and the infrastructure around the agents, and the bigger one, the AI16Z. Kind of missed this one, but you can see it's still not looking terrible. It's at a place where if it drops to, or again if it shows strength above this level, could be a good continuation play as one of the major AI agent plays on the ecosystem. But here on the side, on the left, you could see my watch list for these plays like AI and DeFi AI and AI agents specifically, or infrastructure. I'm not going to go over all of these. I'm just going to show you my favorite picks for now. But definitely, I think this is a place where potentially we could see the biggest gains, because what pretty much happened is everybody forgot that other cryptos exist. And now that the Trump trade, I think, is close to over, or at least a lot of people are taking profit. They're going to start getting back into the stuff that sold off, including other tokens that we're going to talk in just a bit. But pretty much some of my favorite when it comes to charting are Buzz. This with a really clean pattern. I still don't have a position. Honestly, I should start buying into it, but maybe I'll wait for resistance to pop. But this thing, it's been really showing strength. It's just 100 million in market cap, and it's a pretty decent bet at this level and at this chart. Honestly, it's just looking pretty good. So this is one that I have. Actually, now that I remember, I have a bit of it, but I'm providing liquidity on Meteora, so I need to reevaluate this position and probably size it up properly, for the type of play that I believe this will be. Hat is another one. Top Hat. This is one of, I even left some markers here. I don't know if you can see this, but this is in AI agents infrastructure. So very similar chart, but at the bottom of the range on its higher accumulation. So again, maybe not a terrible place even here to start accumulating, and very close to invalidation. And of course, if you want to wait for some more confirmation, maybe wait for the breakout. But these two, I think, are kind of the best place that I see right now when it comes to charting risk to reward, because this is still also quite small caps, like 65 million in market cap. There's another one called Opus. I think this is an agent, just an agent. It's looking a little bit more shaky. And honestly, out of the three AI plays, the agents themselves are kind of the lowest conviction that I have, because one infrastructure play could pop up like hundreds of agents and they all could have tokens. So I think it's really hard to pick winners on the AI agent front, especially now with the bigger ones like Goat, Fartcoin, Frog. There was another one. It's really hard to pick those. But the infrastructure plays are, I think, much better. Newer, or however you pronounce this, it's another DeFi AI. Again, similar chart, similar pattern, 30 million at market cap. So again, at a great place. Just track this chart, put in your watch list, and maybe potentially, if we see that it reclaims and maybe starts shifting structure, so somewhere around this level, it could be also potentially a good buy. T3 AI is one of those. Had a push up. Now it's at the bottom of this, pretty much of this move that it started. And you can see the candle today is looking pretty strong. So maybe also not this is the hour. So this is quite new chart, but again, structure intact, higher highs, higher lows. And we're at this zone here at the lower end of it. So pretty close to invalidation. Another one that's quite big, but still looking very decent is ARC, I guess. This is quite big. I didn't know. I just found out recently about this one. But just look at it again. Very clean structure, breakout, retest confirmation on the 4-hour. You can see it here clearly. So maybe potentially a secondary breakout. Again, another play that I could see even taking right now. So there's a lot of opportunity right here, and you just need to pick your poison. Sense is another one. This one doesn't look great, but if you again are in the boat for more risk, this is at 3 million. I would honestly, for those plays like what was the other one, Sense, and there was another one, lower cap, that I showed you, but I would wait for a bit more confirmation, just because the lower caps tend to die at some point if they don't show reaccumulation and strength, a breakout of the accumulation. A few other that are still looking decent. One is Griffin, again, very clean structure, close to a breakout here. SNAI, okay, this one's dumping, so it used to look good, but a great example of what could happen to some of those, as I told you, so just pick the good charts, but this has a completely different structure, so shifting into lower lows, lower highs here. And there was another one, was it Anon? Let me just double check, because there's so many charts, guys. Okay, yeah, Anon was also looking decent, and again had a nice little correction, and then we're looking at this level for a potential pop. I would say even here, like if you want to get an early entry, if you start making new highs here, could be a little bit riskier entry, but also not a terrible one. So yeah, these are few ideas to look at. I'm just gonna finish here and start buying some stuff, because I've been out all day, and Sunday my idea was to have fun with my family, but yeah, I guess we need to really look in. And yeah, guys, I'll keep you updated, and if you have any other questions, let me know.